We are sponsored by Super Six. Thank you to the legends at Super Six for sponsoring us. It is now time to talk Super Six. Listen, if you don't know what Super Six is, download the app, join our league. The mini league code is Club23. Every single round, you could win £250,000 simply by predicting 6 score lines. It's that easy. You could also enter our mini league. We give away a £100 classic football shirts voucher every week to our league winner. And if you win our league at the end of the season, then you'll be playing in the Club FC against Pitchside FC in a proper 11-a-side game. So absolutely loads of incentive to be joining Super Six and our league and everything else that goes on over there. Today, Super Six have set us a task of ranking the best managers in Premier League history. The 5 managers they want us to rank from 5 to 1 is as follows: Jose Mourinho, Arsene Wenger, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola and Sir Alex Ferguson. Before we get stuck into the pros and cons of these managers, are there any managers that could make this top 5? I know we're going to rank this top 5, but are there any managers that you feel have been unfortunate not to make this top 5?
No, this is the obvious top 5, I think. I don't think there's anybody else who could even hope to be on the list, regardless of your bias. I just don't think there's anybody else to even factor in here, is there?
Unless you throw in managers that have to do things to a relative level. David Moyes at Everton, his legacy in the Premier League, the amount of games he's managed for lesser sides.
Yeah.
If you throw them in, fair enough, maybe. But I'm not saying that.
You could make it that, but I don't think that's quite necessary. He's obviously not one of the best managers to have ever managed in the league. You could also say who's achieved the biggest sensational thing, and that would be Claudio Ranieri. But again, I don't think that's really it. Nobody would argue, despite Claudio Ranieri achieving the impossible, I don't think anybody would argue that he was one of the best managers.
So we're happy. So this is the 5 best, greatest Premier League managers of all time.
Yes.
Because football did start in 1992. Right. Let's talk about Jose Mourinho first. Let's talk about each of these managers and why we like them and why we dislike them. And then we'll rank them, yeah? Is that fair?
Yes.
Jose Mourinho. Talk to me about him, Rory.
I think Jose Mourinho is probably I think when he arrived, he was just so precocious. Wasn't he? He was unstoppable when he arrived. You know, just with the fanfare and with the confidence, he was truly amazing. He was just this young, handsome, precocious talent that was full of arrogance. Yeah, it was full of arrogance. In the way, do you know the only thing it's like? I've recently been watching some of the old footage of Muhammad Ali. You know when he speaks, he's so full of confidence, but for some reason, not many people can get away with demonstrating or saying arrogant words, but still retaining a likable quality. And Jose Mourinho did that. He arrived, and in his first press conference in this country, he told everybody that he was the special one. Like,
not one from the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I think in terms of what he did when he arrived, you know, for the disruption of the duopoly, almost monopoly that existed in the Premier League. So it was Manchester United's league title. Occasionally it was Arsenal's league title. And those two clubs, with the odd exception, I mean really odd as well, like the Blackburn Rovers, like 94 thing.
That was 91, wasn't it?
No, Blackburn Rovers 95 thing. Like that was literally the exception to the rule. Mourinho just arrived and totally disrupted that duopoly.
And he created the best defensive line I think the league's ever seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the managers on the list had world-class centre-backs, and obviously Ferguson had more than everyone else because of his time in the league. But the 4 he had, I think the goal conceded record being so low, the best defensive unit, I think, of any of the managers on the list.
Yeah, I think so as well. The other thing with Jose Mourinho as well, I think that sometimes people are slightly unkind to him, maybe because of his later years. But I think they're slightly unkind when they talk about him as a defensive manager, because of course he was defensive. Of course he was the master, in fact, of going 1-0 up and ultimately the game finishes 2-0 when he stifles the opposition or whatever. He was amazing at that. But some of the most electrifying football I've ever seen at Stamford Bridge was Jose Mourinho.
His Real Madrid team scored the most goals in La Liga.
But do you know that Real Madrid? Do you know that Real Madrid moment for him? I think it's like the line in the sand that you can draw in Mourinho's career, pre and post Madrid. It's so stark. Like when he arrived in the Premier League, he was this young, hungry, handsome, daring, innovative manager that was really likeable. And when he came back from Spain, obviously he won the league again, but he came back and he was slightly more
I feel like
cynical.
he didn't change, you know. You know what I think happened to him?
No, but he was really cynical. He was
before he won it
angry.
all.
Guardiola,
He was
that's why. He
angry.
was putting people's eyes out, Tito Villanova and all
before
that.
he won it all, he was hungry. He could get everyone on side. Then once he won that, he gets a bit of arrogance with him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of robbed a few people. And I think also he didn't, you know, Fergie changed constantly to keep up with the players and the way.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't have treated Ronaldo the way he treated Beckham.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah,
you kind of have to accept some things now with Ronaldo because we've got
or Bruce the way he treated Rio or whatever. Yeah.
And I think Mourinho's. It was always the same.
But do you know what happened? I think when he was at Chelsea first time, so when he got sacked in 2007, like I was at the ground, there was a protest. I was at the ground, like nobody wanted him sacked. It was the most ridiculous decision ever. And I believe that had we not sacked him, it would have been a dynasty. It was such a stupid decision. Lost to Rosenborg. We drew with Rosenborg, I think, actually. We drew. Sacked him. So stupid. But I think he was so bitter about that sacking.
Didn't he say to Roman, go sack me then?
Yeah.
He sacked him.
It became a battle of arrogance. It became a power play. Yeah, he basically said, you can't sack me.
Yeah, watch this.
You can't say that to a billionaire. Yeah, they're not used to that. Anyway, but even when he came back, he came back and I think he was slightly more dislikable. I think he was slightly more hateful himself. Yeah. But
ratty.
He still managed to do something truly amazing. And I think only Sir Alex Ferguson, out of all of these brilliant managers, Guardiola might do it, but only Sir Alex Ferguson has yet done it. Mourinho won the league in 2005, won the league in 2015. A decade apart. In that period of time, obviously, he went over to Inter Milan and achieved historic things. But he won a Premier League title a decade later, which I think for longevity is just truly, truly brilliant.
Arsene Wenger.
What can I say? I think he's got that iconic status in the Premier League a bit more than Mourinho because he spent longer time in the league. Obviously, the famous moment at Old Trafford where he's standing up with his arms in the air. The way he got Arsenal playing. Obviously, Arsenal before Wenger, I think it's fair to say, were quite a defensive, rugged, quite a British side, if you put it that way. And Wenger brought his kind of European sentiment to Arsenal. So they ended up having the physicality of Arsenal Football Club, traditionally speaking, and then they had this kind of beautiful flair. Robert Pires coming into the club, Lundberg, of course, Thierry Henry, Anelka. So I think Wenger's style of football was incredible.
He also presided over a difficult period for Arsenal, you know, in terms of transitioning from Highbury to Ashburton Grove. He was part of that.
He's a massive part of that. And I think, like, when we had the debate about Wenger and Mourinho in the past, I'm not going to start that again now, but like one of the things with Wenger is he kind of put the club before himself. There's a lot of times where Mourinho puts himself above the club, so he doesn't want to fit in with the environment that he's got and get the best out of it.
But Arsenal also did Wenger a lot of favours.
Yeah, of course.
They didn't sack him. I mean, that's tapping into what Mourinho said.
But there's a reason why he didn't get sacked.
No, but Mourinho said, you were basically, he's the only manager at any other top club. Nobody else can go a decade without a trophy.
Yeah.
Wenger went a decade. Out of all of these managers on the list, in fact, none of them would have gone a decade without a trophy.
That's the worst part of this list. That if any of the managers, we have to factor in any of their issues. You know, Ferguson went a few years here and there without a trophy. That 10-year spell is chronic. For the argument for Arsene Wenger in the Premier League.
The other thing is, you know, when you say that Wenger was here for so much longer.
Should he have won a League Cup against Birmingham City? I mean, the way they lost that and capitulated. It's unfair though, because I think
if he had won that League Cup, would you have been changing your opinion on him?
Well, we wouldn't be saying that they went 10 years without a trophy. You wouldn't be able to say they went 10 years without a trophy.
But I think Arsenal fans listening to this would say about the Golden Trophy, the Invincible season, whether you agree or not, it is certainly top 3 seasons ever by a single Premier League side in terms of never losing a game.
I don't agree with that.
Not top 3?
Not really. No, I don't think so.
Fair enough.
I don't think it was the best Arsenal team.
You know the Jose Mourinho. They won less trophies and they accrued less points.
Yeah, not a double winning side, was it?
But you know Jose Mourinho's team that you were talking about there with the team that conceded 15 goals. 95 points.
Yeah, exactly.
95.
Exactly. And you won the double, the League Cup as well.
And won a League Cup, a double, yeah.
You know me, I'd take that all day long. City, the Centurions had 100 points and a League Cup.
Yeah.
But Arsenal fans sitting there would have their own version of an argument saying that Arsene Wenger, the only manager on the list, whatever you say about it, unbeaten in a league season to win the league title. That's incredible.
But Arsenal fans, Middlesbrough in the League Cup, Man United in the FA Cup, Inter Milan in the Champions League.
You got a good memory for those 3 games.
Chelsea
well, we beat them in the FA Cup. 4 goals scored, 1-0.
Mate, Wayne Bridge changed the journey that football's on. Arsenal were going to win. Arsenal were going to win the European Cup then.
Yeah.
And they should have done. They really should have done. Chelsea under Ranieri were a very beatable team. We didn't win a trophy under Ranieri, so they certainly should have done.
Jurgen Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp is again quite unfortunate in not dislike Arsene Wenger here. The achievement from Jurgen Klopp, if you're pinpointing any single achievement, so I think Jose Mourinho arriving and breaking the duopoly is very impressive. But Jurgen Klopp beating Guardiola to a title is right up there. His resilience to go all the way and not win the league and bounce back the following year and win it, to go all the way to Kiev in the Champions League and not win it and then bounce back again. It's brilliant. Where Jurgen Klopp is quite unfortunate, he's just unfortunate because of Pep Guardiola, really, isn't he? If Pep Guardiola wasn't here, we'd be talking about the best team that Liverpool have ever had, and I include like the Steve Highway, Kenny Dalglish team. That era of the 80s was seen as being Liverpool's best era. I believe that Klopp built a better team than that. He just doesn't have
Liverpool.
He just
fans,
doesn't.
Obviously, we can't speak for all of them, but a lot of Liverpool fans would agree with you.
He just doesn't have Liverpool won back-to-back European Cups. But I think the team that Klopp built was better. He was just unfortunate that Pep Guardiola was 60 miles away.
I agree.
And again, though, it's like, when we give the Ronaldo-Messi argument, you kind of feel like they're not as good without that.
It's just that
that
Pep
competition brings the best out of them.
But just imagine if Pep Guardiola had not gone to City or left early or was never born or whatever, Jurgen Klopp's
It's a shame.
era at Liverpool is so much. Yeah. It's so much bigger. It's so difficult to make the case for Klopp when he's basically got one Premier League title.
Yeah, but that side that did win it, I think it would decimate all the other sides on that list on its day. It sounds ridiculous.
No, I don't.
They did it to City in the Champions League. I've never seen a side like it. The way they battered us, their physicality, their energy, their fitness. I think they're the fittest side on the list, and that's because of Jurgen Klopp's ability to get work out of them.
Football changed a lot by them, but I disagree with that. But you may be right. People may agree with you. Then we come to obviously Pep and Sir Alex, Pep Guardiola.
Pep's got the second most Premier League titles on this list. He's got the best record based on
the second most now
on this list. I think he must do in total as well.
Wenger 3,
Wenger 3, Mourinho 3,
Klopp 1. And then Guardiola's got a better record than Ferguson based on the amount of time he's been in the league.
I think the kindest thing that you can say about Pep Guardiola, this is like the biggest compliment that you can pay him. He's made it so that we at least have to have a conversation about the best manager in the Premier League era. The answer is Sir Alex Ferguson, undoubtedly. But I think what's happening is, and the time will potentially make this even more of a conversation, is Pep Guardiola is making it, where does Guardiola rank compared to Ferguson? Rather than it just being Ferguson, I think there is now a conversation at least. And that's the kindest thing you can say about Guardiola's contribution.
He beats Ferguson in a trophy per year record in terms of the amount of time he's been in the league. Obviously, Ferguson's got the history. I can't deny that.
He's on course to beat him in a European record.
Domestic treble, never seen before. 100-point season, never seen before. Some of the most goals ever seen in a league before. Another treble in English football after Ferguson. It's scary. What if he stays 5 more years?
Look at,
that's the thing.
I think at the end of Pep's career, we'll be able to judge this a lot better. But you have to take into consideration the clubs they took over, the shape of the clubs that they took over and everything else, because without that context, a lot of those things...
The only thing I'd say about that is I think this goes unwritten in the history books for Guardiola. Guardiola had to... It's not all well and good saying we had the most expensive club in the most expensive squad in the world. We had to get rid of Clichy, Kolarov, Fernando, load of players getting older, Di Michaelis, from the Pellegrini era.
The thing was, though, you had to transition a lot. Willing and able
of course. But
make those changes very quickly.
But make improvements to players that are already there. De Bruyne was already signed before Guardiola got there. Sterling was improved. Edison's come in as a young keeper. Stones. I mean, this is all Guardiola's work.
Yeah, look, the answer is Sir Alex Ferguson. It's not really.
Let's
it's not really
from 5 to 1. Come on.
It goes. I think it goes.
I'm tending to go Jurgen Klopp.
It's Wenger or Klopp 5th.
Klopp behind Wenger. Wenger's got more trophies.
So Klopp.
You know what though? It sounds.
But 5th on this list is a compliment. Hang on,
he's only been here 7 years.
It sounds like you're giving somebody. It sounds like an insult. You go, you're bottom of the list. You're not bottom of the list. This is an amazing list. Yeah, Klopp and Wenger's difficult.
But the thing, the thing that makes me say that is the European Cup. But if we're just doing Premier League
and European final as well, and like,
but then Klopp's got one Klopp 5th, Wenger 4th for me. At the moment,
Mourinho 3rd.
Klopp,
Pep 2nd, Fergie 1.
Klopp higher. Okay, I don't mind.
No.
Wenger.
Say where you think. We can vote and then level it out if you want. But do you have Klopp ahead of Wenger?
I do rate Klopp so highly,
So do I.
Okay.
I think pound for pound, his job's better than Pep's, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Pep in this
as well. Like those, I just keep thinking about that decade. Well, 9 years without any silverware.
But the 98 side that won the double, incredible side, man. Fucking hell.
Yeah, true.
Getting Vieira and Thierry Henry, he made them those players.
Yeah, and obviously, still embracing the brilliance of Paul Merson and Ian Wright and whatever else.
Fabregas came through.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so it goes Klopp, followed by Wenger, followed by Mourinho, followed by Guardiola, followed by Ferguson.
Easy.
It's easy.
Easy. Try and challenge us next time, Super 6. And make sure you are joining our Super 6 League. Club 23 is the code. Let us know your top 5 as well. Are there any other managers you think can sneak into there? We don't, to be quite honest with you, but that is our 5. Remember, the winner of the Club League gets a £100 classic football shirts voucher every single week. And the winner of the Total League at the end of the season will get to play for us, with us, against Pitchside Club FC, wearing one of those shirts over there right next to Boovy on that pitch. So make sure you're checking that out. The next round of fixtures for the big weekend in the Premier League will include Man City, Brighton, Newcastle Palace, Brentford, Burnley, Sheffield United, Man United, Aston Villa, West Ham, and the big one, which we are live for on the club, so get subscribing to the club, Chelsea, Rory, against Arsenal.
I need Chelsea to do us a favour.
Yeah, you'll be supporting Chelsea that
Please?
day.
Oh, of course. We're up the blur, I say.
Allez le bleu. Allez le bleu. Allez. N'Golo, Kanté.
Remember, it's a free shot at £250,000. Occasionally, they crank that up to $1 million as well. And you may as well get involved because it is free. You have to be over 18. Links in the description. Get stuck in.